and then pick the recording back up. So welcome back if you're watching this on YouTube in the future for part 2 of Avalon Le Fae. Without further ado, let's go. Be sure to drop a like and sub if you enjoy these videos. I really probably should do intros and exits for each of them. But no battles for Salisbury. For part 2. So, we're going to have a separate journey from MASH, though. That's interesting. Beautiful, isn't it? This is the center of the British Lostbelt. See that super ominous castle-looking thing over there? That's Camelot. These days, Britain is divided into north and south regions, and Camelot sits between them. Most people live here in the southern central area. The 4 main cities in this region are Salisbury, the great cathedral, Norwich, the nearest port town, Gloucester, the city of fashion, and Oxford, the great dining hall. Each city is run by the head of a fairy clan. Mash and Da Vinci, do you know where they are? I see, so there were others from Chaldea with you. I'm very sorry, but you were the only ones I managed to find. And as you can see, it's just me right now, so tracking down you was the best I could do. But that leads nicely to my next point. Can you tell me what this Mash of yours looks like? As long as I know what she looks like, I can have Blanca look for her. Blanca, who's that, and didn't you just say you were alone? Alright, here, let me introduce you. Oh, look at the little fella. Pretty cute, right? I talk with her a lot. I guess you could call her my friend. Anyway, she's a very neat, very smart, and above all, she's a hard worker. If anyone can track down MASH, she can. Okay, now that that's settled, how about we start by sharing what we all know with one another? You tell me your story, and I'll tell you mine. Okay, sure. So we got Oberon on our side, huh? You know the rest. I see, so you've conquered 5 Lostbelts thus far. And while you weren't originally planning to come to Britain, you, Mash, Leonardo, and Tristan wound up coming here to investigate this collapse. But then after the 4 of you landed here, you got separated in the Nameless Woods. That's unfortunate. No, I'm sorry I couldn't be more helpful. I had no idea you weren't the only one lost. If I only had been more attentive back then, maybe I could have tracked down Mash and Leonardo as well. But I was so excited about finding you that I forgot all about everything else. You were the one I saw at the beach before I lost consciousness then. For the time being, there's one thing we can and should check. Mash is your contracted servant, right? And you should have magical energy connection with her. If it's still active, then we'll at least know she's alive, if we don't know where she is. How about it? Can you check on that for us? She is alive. Whew. That's good. Great, then all we need to do now is find her. Also, Oberon, why didn't you answer? And Leonardo's a servant too, that I'm sure she's still alive and kicking too. Fortunately, the fairy here can't tell the difference between their fellow faithfolk and servants. So as long as they're not human, they shouldn't be in too much danger, so let's just stay calm and trust them to handle themselves. Next, Castoria, is there something you'd like to say to me? No, not right now anyway. Honestly, I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything. I just heard about Chaldea, proper human history, the Lostbelts, and so on. Although, getting back to servants, heroic spirits, is that like a human turning into a fairy after they die? And you said both you and Tristan are servants yourselves. That's right, if you want to know more about heroic spirits and servants, I'm sure Sol there will be happy to fill you in on the way. Between a resident of this Lostbelt like you and a master from proper human history, who is a guest in this world, you two should be able to catch each other up on almost everything. On the way, you said. Does that mean you'll have a destination in mind, Oberon? I do indeed, when you're trying to track someone down. A big city's your best bet. Besides, you and Syl both need to get used to the way things work here in Faerie Britain. So our next stop is Salisbury, the biggest city in the south. There we'll find food, clothing, shelter, everything we need, really. Excuse me. Just about a full day's walk from here. I know you've been up all night, but do you think you can make it the trek? Of course. We need to find Mashu after all. Good answer. You've definitely got spirit, but you've also tempering it with a healthy dose of cool-headedness. I like that. Salisbury, huh? What should I do? Might be kind of dangerous to go back now, but I also can't leave Sol to fend for himself. Plus, I don't care what this Oberon guy says. He really seems a lot like Merlin. Would it be okay if I came along too, Sol? I know I mistakenly went by Mash's name for a while there, but I want to know more about you and your, right, proper human history. I just assumed you were coming with. Right, of course not. Oh gosh, what am I even saying? Of course you wouldn't want a country bumpkin like me taking go. Huh? You're shaking my hand again. Does that mean it's okay? Glad to have you with us, Castoria. Ah, yes, no, that's a lovely friendship. I was definitely on pins and needles back in Cornwall, but it seems we were not interfering was the right choice after all. In theatrical terms, I believe this is the part where they say, now the actors are in place, the real story can begin. So Oberon here is definitely at least somewhat influenced by Shakespeare's works, then. Chaldea alone wouldn't be enough. The Child of Prophecy alone won't get there in time. So we need both to defeat the mighty Morgan. Definitely does seem to be influenced a bit by Shakespeare's work. Alright, Berserker fight, yeah. Alright. People already have some of the servants. How many Morgans? Okay, actually, so, actually, I already know. So, at least 2 people on my list have Morgan already. NP1 and already 10, 10, 10. Good gracious. We'll take Tristan. I have my own Castoria, and then I need a Knight of the Round Table. I'm gonna keep this as thematically appropriate as possible. Try and keep my party as strict to the bylaws as I can. I have Proto. He's technically a Knight. I do have Gawain, but he's not leveled, unfortunately. If Gawain was leveled, I would bring him along, but I don't have basic Tristan. I only have Surfer Mo. I've got Gareth, but it seems like she's going to be later on in this Lostbelt. And I can't bring Mash along because she's not with me right now, so I think I'll go with Proto here. Just because he's technically a Knight of the Round Table, and he's from a different world, so why not? Ah, the prophecy was true. That girl is our star of hope. She will be our salvation. She will be our path to forgiveness. She's our savior, who drifted to our shores with a ship full of treasure. She's the one who will hear the voice of paradise and chant the promised name. Ah, dear Artoria. May you grow to the age of 16 healthy and strong. May the Queen's soldiers never find you. One day you will go on a journey to ring the 6 bells and save all of Britain. A journey to welcome our true king. Gloucester, Salisbury, Oxford, Norwich, Orkney. We may not know where the 6th bell is, but we are confident you will find it. The staff of selection has chosen you. You are Faerie Britain's only hope. Now go on, hurry, 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 hurry! Hurry and greet your 16th birthday. We have complete faith in you. So, Castoria is the Child of Prophecy. This village is done for. The executioner squads are here. Hold your head high, grip your staff tight. Now is the time to begin your journey, Castoria. Remember, no matter what anyone says, you are unquestionably the Child of Prophecy. You are the splitting image of her. Splitting image of the Child of Prophecy, so they have a picture of the Child of Prophecy. Interesting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm so weak. I'm sorry I can't live up to your expectations. I'll do my best. I promised. As much as I can. Sleeping already? Artoria? Castoria? Oh, no, I wasn't asleep. Was I asleep? I was just remembered Tristan playing his harp, and then... Ah, how this saddens me. I was merely trying to soothe your exhaustion. But I cannot help but notice you don't seem to care for my music, my liege. I mean, maid Artoria... I'm sorry, I'm just not used to hearing music. But it really did help me fall asleep peacefully. I'd love it if you played again when it's that time. Oh, she wooed me, maid. Okay, I'm just gonna confuse that with Malter, so with... Ah, you wound me, Castoria. No bard wants to be told his music puts people to sleep. Hey, you can't blame her. We've been walking non-stop nearly all day. We're all exhausted. Oh, that's why we're camping out here tonight before making our way to Salisbury tomorrow morning. Artoria, Castoria, you can put up a bounded field to keep wild animals away, right? I hate to ask, since I know you're sleepy, but would you mind? Oh, yes, of course. Okay, I'll be right back. I'll be right back soon. Now then. I know we told Castoria that proper human history is like a parallel world to Britain, but of course that's not the whole truth, is it? The truth is proper human history is the rightful historical timeline, and it's fundamentally incompatible with this world of Faerie Britain. As Chaldea, you have to erase the Lostbelts to ensure humanity's future. And now you're trying to come up with a way to tell Castoria with this without hurting her too badly. She's gonna be our emotional heartstring. Strong to hide it, but... I see, I suppose you have betrayed the people of 5 Lostbelts. Okay, Oberon. Touchy much. Damn, I usually pride myself on being an excellent conversationalist, but even I'm having trouble coming up with the right words to heal the wounds in your heart. So for now, the best I can do is offer some words of consolation. It's okay, Soul. The Lostbelt won't fall by your hand. Remember, it's falling apart on its own. If anything, I'd say you're doing it a favor. A favor? Yes, indeed. Human history simply could not ever prosper in this version of Britain. It's a flawed world that was always destined for destruction. History took a dreadfully wrong turn here. The only problem is that it's threatening to take proper human history down with it when it all goes to pot. That's why guys like us from proper human history have to do whatever we can to save it. And that means defeating the one who's been ruling it from on high for over 2,000 years. High Queen Morgan. Hold on, did you say Morgan, as in that Morgan? Yup, that Morgan. The same one who proved to be King Arthur's ultimate Achilles heel in proper human history, even after he united all of Britain. The extraordinary witch who lured King Arthur into countless traps so she could take Camelot for herself. And the mother of Mordred, the treacherous knight, the child of King Arthur who proved to be his downfall. She is the one who ultimately destroyed Britain, and here, she's Faerie Britain's ruler, and she will bring it all to ruin. Let's see, I think you Chaldeans would probably refer to as this Lostbelt's king. Queen Morgan, huh? Anyway, based on everything you've told me, it sounds like Morgan's behind the outside world abnormality. So long as you can defeat her, that should end the threat to proper human history. After that, you can just leave this place to its fate. Whether it falls apart or pulls itself back together, you won't need to feel bad about it. Look over there. What's that? What was it a Lostbelt needs to survive again? A tree of emptiness? Well, I'm guessing that world tree, that giant ash over there beyond the sea, is it. And as you can see, it's been dead for a long time. This Lostbelt definitely hasn't got long left. Was it ever on fire at any point? Oh yeah, now that you mention it, it was. It went up in flames not too long ago, then died again just as quickly as it started. I wonder what that was all about anyway. Anyway, I think that's enough talk for tonight. Don't want to overdo the info dump. So even if you don't remember anything else we talked about tonight, at least remember this. Defeat High Queen Morgan, ruler of Faerie Britain. Nice and simple, right? As for the rest, I'll tell you once we reach Salisbury. Once you see the Fae City for yourself, I think you'll have a much better handle on what life in Britain is like. Oops. Sorry to interrupt, but we've got monsters. Get ready to fight, Soul. I'm sorry, I accidentally skipped a couple of steps when making a battlefield, and I ended up summoning a pack of wild birds by mistake. Could you help me out, please? I never thought the day I would come when I sued my liege that begged me for help. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting she's not the King Arthur I knew. Oh, this is so embarrassing. Even if she's not, I'm glad to have her. Me too, I'm glad. It's such an honor that it actually makes me feel sorry for the other knights of the Round Table. Here they come. Be careful, Soul. Britain's beasts are not to be trifled with. Okay, well, we're about to have another king, so we have 2 kings and a knight of the round in this party. Okay, that's a big birds. But big birds just mean that, Proto here is gonna go delete. Oh, there's 2 waves. That'll be fine.
Yes, my master.
Just delete them for now, Proto. We'll worry about the next wave when the next wave comes. Well done. And more Night Watchers. These things have another name. I just don't remember what it is. Yeah, go. Ooh. I think I go to Brave Chain. Brave Chain is the way to play. Even if Proto does not carry a lot of NP, good gracious. So there's a lot of DACA. Da-da-dun.
やります。
了解。
ここでまっすぐ。
I would prefer if you don't try to delete Proto here. Yeah, let's just get
やってみるさ。
some stars here. And then... Da-da-dun.
そうだい。
Good.
キャー
Good. Good, good.
悲しみもやがて
I know I could have gotten NP because of Proto's NP gauge, but
淡
oh
雪の
well.
ように溶けて
That wasn't that bad. Yay, we won. Now we trounced... No, we trounced them. Man, that feels good. Oh, this makes me so happy. That was the first battle I've won handily since being summoned. Are you actually pretty competitive, Castoria? Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it's nothing really. I'm just glad I was able to contribute. I see, so you're already strong enough to handle a murder of Nightcrows without much trouble, Very nice, that's even better than I was expecting. Tristan, your bow may not be particularly strong, but its range is exceptional. You're clearly well suited for battles against large groups. With you on our side, I bet we could win no matter how outnumbered we may be. And as for you, Castoria, you're much more of a wild card than you look. It's that strange tool of yours, handmade. A rare weapon like that'll be very effective against an opponent who's never seen it before, especially as a distraction. And above all, your summons were fascinating, Soul. Temporarily summoning heroic spirits to aid in battle, huh? I had no idea it was such a flexible and powerful way to fight. Human magecraft doesn't tend to work well against fairies, but summoning heroic spirits is definitely an exception. The only problem with it is how long you can last, given that the incredible demands on your stamina, magical energy, and sheer luck. Plus, it seems like the longer the battle lasts, the more toll it takes on you. As long as you're careful about that, you should be able to handle anyone, fairy or not. Wait a moment, human magecraft? You can use magecraft, Soul? Why is that surprising? Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I was just a little taken back. You see, magecraft isn't really used much in Britain. Basically, fairies perform sacraments without any help from basic magecraft, spells, or mystic codes. So magecraft is considered unnecessary at best, and, only practiced by weirdos at worst. In fact, to be totally blunt, if you tell people you use magecraft here, they tend to look at you all funny and ask why you'd go through all that trouble. I see, you have a point. Fairies simply have no needs for magecraft. And since this Britain is a land dominated by fairies, that would mean magecraft is effectively worthless here. Why do you use it then? Oh man, after everything I just said, you really went there, Soul. Now, it was an honest question, Artoria. You know you didn't mean anything by it, right? Anyway, you don't have to answer if you'd rather not. As for you, Soul, I suggest you wait for a better time before bringing this up again. Anyway, I think we might have gotten distracted from our main purpose. Now that we've got this nice camp set up, we should use it to get a good night's rest. I'm sure there's more you'd like to know about Soul, Artoria, but why don't we save that for tomorrow? Fortunately, there are none of the Queen's soldiers, no Moors, and no rebel army around here. And once we wake up in the morning, it's only another hour's walk to Salisbury, where we'll be able to have much more in-depth conversation. After all, if you're gonna have a fun discussion, you should save it for a nice, relaxing place, right? I have a feeling Castoria practices magecraft because Merlin is her tutor. Or teacher, rather. A no-battle node. Alrighty. Keep it rolling. Night today. Day to night. And that's everything up to 2017 when the world got bleached. And deleted. Again. Wow, so other worlds really do exist. England, Scotland, Ireland? You said there are other countries beyond this isle, too, like, France and Italy. I can't even imagine so many different countries, and cultures, and people. It sounds like you come from a really wonderful world. Britain without the fairies, huh? That sounds like a nice change of pace. Well, from where Soul is sitting, I'd imagine he finds this Britain full of fairies to be quite the change of pace. I do have to correct you on one thing, though. It's not that there aren't many fairies at all in proper human history, where Soul comes from. While mystics have definitely faded since the AD era began, fairies are still around. Though of course there are far fewer of them, and they don't really reveal themselves to humans much. Heck, I'm a fairy heroic spirit myself. Yeah, aren't you from A Midsummer's Night's Dream, right? Written by William Shakespeare, England's greatest playwright, it may well be one of the most famous stories about fairies. It's basically about a love, square, between humans. But two of the most important characters are Oberon, the King of Fairies, and his queen, Titania. In this story, Oberon wants Titania to give him one of her pages. So he hatches a plan involving a potion that will cause the drinker to fall in love with the first living thing they see upon their awakening. But humans end up taking it by mistake, causing them to forget about the person they love and mistakenly believe their fate to be with someone else. Well, without going into too much detail, it all wraps up nicely in the end. It's the sort of comedy of errors focused on love and miscommunication you see everywhere. But unfortunately for me, it became so popular that it kept being retold for generations. Thanks to that, the word fairy is now synonymous with the mischievous Puck or the narrow-minded King Oberon. So at least in one sense, I might be the most famous fairy in the world. If you've never read it before, you should give it a shot once you get back to Chaldea. It doesn't paint the most flattering picture of me, but never mind that. Now, just to be clear, I swear I wasn't trying to make trouble, okay? I'm just a plot device, really. Only there to get the romantic hijinks rolling. So, does that mean you're a fictional character then, Oberon? Is that even possible for someone as vaguely defined as that to become a servant? No, it isn't. Well, Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream is indeed how he is best known. Legends of Oberon the Fairy King have existed in Europe since ancient times. Perhaps most notably, there's a poem about him from the 15th century, well before Shakespeare's time, where he is described as a king of fairies who can use magic to make any wish come true. Really? I didn't know about that one. The point is, the character was inspired by an existing model, and that model must have become the base for my servant form. Which came first? Who knows? Just another version of the chicken and egg problem. Titania? I'm pretty sure, isn't King Protea part Titania? Oh, she's all Shakespeare. There are no legends in fairy history about anyone by that name. The name Titania probably came from the titans of Greek mythology. The Oberon in A Midsummer Night's Dream is pretty self-centered after all. You could never find a lady who would tolerate him, so Shakespeare had to make one up. But I digress. Sorry for wasting our time. Salisbury's just up ahead. Don't worry about the guards. I'll handle them. And all you three have to do is stay quiet. It's okay. My face is basically a free pass into the city. Alright, one more thing. Don't tell them your names. If they ask, and you can't avoid answering, make something up. We don't need anyone else finding out that you're human, and you may never know who's listening. Hold on, isn't it dangerous to lie to fairies? I've heard their eyes can see through falsehoods. If so, shouldn't we try to avoid lying wherever possible? Oh, don't worry, the fairies here don't have the powers like that. I don't know if they've lost them thanks to all this prosperity, or if they threw them away in order to be prosperous. By the way, they definitely can't tell the truth from lies anymore. The only way you can tell is if you're dealing with a good person or not is when everything's said and done. How else could someone as evil as Morgan have stayed at the top of the world for so long? Fair. I'm very interested in seeing how Morgan's character is developing, considering how many people seem to love her, by the way. I'm sure she'll get some development. All the kings do. Earth, wind, interacting. So this is Salisbury. Ah, how this gladdens me. The air is very different from Cornwall. There may be fairies everywhere we turn here too, but I don't sense anything dangerous about them. They all seem happy and full of good cheer. Is there some sort of festival taking place today or something? No, this is just life in Salisbury. It's the only free city in all of Britain. There are about 200,000 people living in Salisbury. Some wind, earth, and flying fairies. Some are fairies who emerge spontaneously from nature, and some are even independent humans. Independent humans. Humans who have won their freedom and now belong to no one but Britain itself. I was hoping to tell you about that aspect of life here once things had settled down, but I guess it was bound to come up sooner or later. And since the Great Cathedral is here too, this seems a good place as any to get into it. You Chaldeans may have thought there were no humans in this Lostbelt, but strictly speaking, that's not true. Humans do exist here, they're just not at the top of the hierarchy. Here, they're used as tools to enrich fairy society. Proper human history terms, they're essentially slaves. Didn't you think there was something strange about this city? It's wrong. Twisted. Unseemly. It is more of a that is a good point. It is more like a human city than a fairy one. Exactly. Fairies are supposed to live in harmony with nature. Even when they form communities, it's always forest children and stone children gathering under the same great mother. They were always just divided spirits of the planet, who never possessed a culture of their own. But as you can see, Faerie Britain has become a place where fairies imitate human society. For about 14,000 years, fairies here have raised humans like cattle. 14,000 years! In that time, they used humans' innate creativity as entertainment, which in turn allowed them to flourish. Fairies live long lives, and they require no sustenance whatsoever. Since there's nothing they can't do, they never change, and they never try anything new. In contrast, humans have countless weaknesses. They live short lives, their injuries don't heal, they need food to survive, and can be easily killed by wild beasts. So naturally, humans came up with all sorts of things that would allow them to survive and flourish in spite of all those weaknesses. I'm guessing the fairies found that kind of human thinking absolutely fascinating. It was like finding a shiny new toy. So they began keeping humans as livestock, followed by superficially copying their culture with cities like this one. They completely ignored the substance beneath the behind human agriculture, architecture, and other various fields of study, instead only imitating it at the most basic, superficial level. Anything they couldn't copy manually, they fudged with magical energy. That cathedral there is the worst offender. Fairies have no gods and no religion. There was no actual point to making it a cathedral, they just thought it was fun. That's Faerie Britain's culture and how they treat humans. So they ripped off human culture. Yes, I guess you could put it that way. Still, as a fairy myself, I can understand how things got to this point. While they definitely took it too far, it makes sense they'd get like this in a world where humans are endangered. Both in proper human history and in this Lostbelt, humans are fairies' favorite source of luxury entertainment. This land came to be known as Faerie Britain when fairies began regulating humans at a societal level. It's also the key political policy of High Queen Morgan, your enemy. You guys are gonna fight Morgan? Yep, or at least that's the current plan, isn't that right, Soul? We do need to meet her. At the very least, meet. But first, find Mash and Da Vinci. Alright, don't we? First things first and all that. Why don't we start with the pub? There's always people coming and going in pubs, and some of them may know something useful. Something wrong?
Sol, you've helped me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it, but what should I do if he's going to fight Queen Morgan? It only complicates things if I stick around. I wanted to stay with him until he found Mash, but maybe it would be better to go our separate ways here.
So that's how it is. By the way, Artoria, do you know what they do to humans in this city they catch without their owners? They are captured as ranch escapees and end up sent up to New Darlington.
New Darlington, as in Darlington, the National Slaughter Theater?
Say what?
That's horrible. Wait, isn't Salisbury supposed to be a free city? The head of the Wind Clan runs this place, right? Surely they wouldn't do anything so horrid.
Not necessarily. Not even the head of the Wind Clan can defy the High Queen. So it would definitely be to our advantage to have as many trusted collaborators with us as we can. Soul still doesn't know right from left here, and on top of that, he's human. Without an owner to watch over him, it'll just be a nameless woods all over again. I'd do it myself, but since I'm obviously noble, even royal, it would strain credulity if I tried to claim a human of unknown origins as one of my attendants. But you, on the other hand, would be a perfect fit for Soul. And don't worry, I'm not asking you to stay with him forever, just while we're in Salisbury. You'd prefer that over being alone too, right, Soul?
I guess you're right. Being alone in Britain these days would make you more likely to attract suspicion from the authorities. But what about Tristan? Couldn't he pretend to be Soul's owner?
He probably could, but Tristan knows just as little about Faerie Britain as Soul. It wouldn't take that much questioning from one of the clan guards to expel the facade. I wouldn't go that route unless we had no other choice.
But if I have to ask a human assent, that would mean I'd be an upper-class fairy, which would also make me Soul's owner, and...
It would just be pretend, or were you actually hoping to make him your pet? Okay, Oberon's a tease, and Castoria seems to be into it.
No, I couldn't. Pretend is fine, and I'm still much too young for that.
Castoria's into that kind of stuff. Okay. Right, then it's settled. Soul, Artoria's gonna be your owner for a while. It'll be the safest way to travel here. Think you can play along?
Thanks. You know what? Let's not... I don't know. I'm kind of amused by this, so... Let's not say we're good at acting. Let's just thank her for doing this. Okay, if you're sure you want me to do this, then I'll do it. Besides, we've come this far together, so I certainly don't mind traveling together a little more. In fact, looking on the bright side, this actually is making one of my childhood dreams come true.
Oh, what dream would that be?
The same dream every fairy who grows up in the country has, joining the ranks of the upper-class city folk. Hey there, my good Salisburyans. How are you this fine day? That's right, it is I, Oberon, the Fairy King of the Autumn Woods, the missionary of peace, flowers, and fairy tales here to grace you with my boisterous residence. Hey, Oberon, glad to see you're doing well. Nice to have you back in Salisbury again. Just make sure you don't put anything on your tab today, you hear? Oberon, I knew you'd be coming today to drink was a good idea. Boy, when you paying back the money I lent you?
So I have to thank you for your help the other day, Oberon. Your advice really got the trees in my backyard to settle down. I'm still waiting for you to pay me back, though.
Oh no. Oberon's in massive debt.
Lovely, Oberon. You have some time to spare, right? You simply must attend our tea party today. I'm still waiting for you to pay me back, though.
There's a poor little prince with 10,000 year tab. Don't worry, I'll cover this round. I'm still waiting for you to pay me back, though. Well, you all cut that out. Stop pointing out how popular I am. I'm here with some important friends today. Save the money talk for another time, alright?
We know. Don't worry, we're all just joking. You've enriched our lives way more than the Queen's banknotes ever could. We're happy to treat you. Yeah, what's this about a 10,000 year tab? So you're poor even though you call yourself a king?
Well, yes, my financials are just a little lean now. Bluntly, I'm flat broke. But what do you expect? When I was summoned to Faerie Britain, all I had on me was this cloak. I woke up in a forest piled high with dead leaves with literally nothing to my name. Usually in a situation like that, I'd be bummed out to do anything but wait for help from proper human history. But since I arrived first, I knew there were things I needed to take care of. Fairies thrive on what they find interesting, so I went around putting on shows in the various cities here. I sang songs, riled up crowds, told fairy tales, entertained housewives, and livened up the nights. Over time, the people of Britain came to know me as the regal fairy king of a fief nobody's heard of. Well, at least in the major cities, anyway.
Oh, so I didn't know about you because I'm from the countryside.
Sorry about that, I'll try to branch out more from now on. Still, this was a hard-fought battle in its own right. Can you imagine what it was like for me to have to act like nobility without any actual capital? I can recall a few dozen times I lied about my station so I could sing love songs to beautiful women I met in a tavern. And indeed, there is nothing quite so exciting, I mean tense, as that. As a fellow poet, Oberon, I have the greatest respect for what you've accomplished here. I don't suppose you'd be willing to give me a few in-depth lessons on how to roll fairy style, would you? If you'd really like to learn from me, I'd be glad to teach you what I know. Besides, with your music backing me up, I bet I'd be able to explain my clientele even more.
No, I see you're both scoundrels who can't be trusted around with it.
Oh, just need Lancelot here to complete the trio.
Anyway, where should we sit, Oberon?
My favorite table is the round one in the back, on the raised floor. It's hard for the other customers to see you there, and it gives you full view of the whole pub. Now, how about we start with a toast of fruit water? Excuse me, cutie, hardly new server. Let the owner know we'll be making use of the table in the back, okay? Oh, we'd also like to apple order for, Vinci!
You got it. I'll have them ready in just a moment. Da Vinci? Whoa, no way, Soul. It's really you. Convenient. Convenient to find Da Vinci. Alright, Salisbury. Again, no battle node. And if there is another fragment, that'll probably be the last bit we do after this. Oh man, you'll never believe what happened to me. So after we got separated in the fog, I let my instincts lead me and it brought me right back to the beach. Luckily, that beach was far enough away from the foggy woods that I was able to follow the coastline east. Eventually, I caught sight of Salisbury here, and I figured I ought to be able to learn more in a populated city. And when I got here,
an angel far too good for this world just appeared on my pub's doorstep. She was very unsteady on her feet, but I could still see the fire in her deep blue eyes when she said, "What a lovely place. Would you let me work here for the rest of my life?"
I never said that. What I said was, I'm looking for my companions, but first gotta have a glass of water, remember?
Well, if you ever change your mind, just let me know. You're welcome to work here forever.
Yes, I heard the first 100 times, Mike. Back behind the counter, I'll teach you to make cocktails later.
Dunbinchi, my perfect angel.
Anyway, that's my story. I'm glad you're okay too, Soul. You too, Tristan. Although it looks like you still haven't found Mash yet.
I see you must be the other servant Soul told us about. It's an honor to meet a renowned genius like yourself, Leonardo da Vinci.
Who are you? I'm guessing the fact that you know my name means you're a servant from proper human history.
I'm Oberon the Fairy King, though I guess here it's more of an aspirational title.
It's nice to meet you, Da Vinci. I'm Castoria. I met Sol in the Nameless Woods. To make a long story short, I'm going around with Sol pretending to be his owner. Seriously, that's hilarious. Thanks, Castoria. That must be a huge weight off Sol's shoulders. Hey, you're a British fairy too, right? You've probably got some idea of what it is we're trying to do here now. You're helping Sol. Does that mean you're good with it? Well, more or less. Honestly, I didn't really get half of what the Sol Oberon told me, but I do know that Sol is telling the truth. I wouldn't feel right about abandoning someone in trouble, but it's within my ability to help them, and honestly, it kind of seemed like fun. Gotcha. Then it should be okay to speak frankly here. So, how did you end up here, Sol?
Expeditional dump.
Well, sounds like you guys had a hell of a time in that forest. I'm glad you made it out of there okay. Thanks for keeping him safe, Tristan. You too, Oberon, Castoria. So, we don't know much about Britain. We have no idea where Mash is. Though we do know that she's still alive and Oberon is flat broke. Okay, now that we're all on the same page, we can figure out what to do next. You made the right call, Oberon. We shouldn't be wandering aimlessly around Britain right now. What we need to do is set up a base of operations here in Salisbury, where we can gather information and tackle the problems one at a time. Our top priority now is finding Mash, so we'll need to look for more on a girl wearing iron armor. While we do that, we should also learn more about Britain and the lives of the fairies who live in it. Do you have a house here or something? I sure do. This pub doubles as an inn. Well, technically they just copied a man-made inn without knowing what it was for. So I taught Mike about inns and how to put all the extra rooms he's got here to good use. And as a little reward for my services, I got to take three of the second floor rooms for myself. I knew we'd eventually find each other, and that we'd need a Chaldea frontline base when we did, so I went ahead and made one.
Wow, I'm impressed, Da Vinci. I know Lancelot would be especially blown away by what you've done here.
Is this Lancelot person also a young girl?
Oh, that's good. That's great. I can already tell this Da Vinci friend of yours will be a huge help. Alright, since it seems like you guys have had things well in hand now, I think I'll take my leave. I've actually got a lot of other things I still have to do. You're going off on your own, Oberon.
Yep, I'm gonna see what I can find out about this Mash girl. Not to mention we also need more information about Britain as a whole.
Now that you Chaldeans have come here, things are definitely going to change. And since we still don't have many allies on our side yet, I want to make sure we know where things stand in every region.
We'll see you again soon though, right?
Of course, especially now that I know where I can find you all. Don't worry, the next time you see me, I'll have good news. In the meantime, I suggest you all get assimilated to Britain sooner or later.
Well, damn, he shouldn't waste any time. I'm glad he's on our side, but he definitely dances to the beat of his own drum, doesn't he?
Indeed, and that colorful outfit speaks to me. Tells me he is without a doubt the same kind of poet as me. Ah, how this gladdens me.
So, what should we do now? I could show you around Salisbury if you like. Thanks, but I think we should take a rest of the day off. You all walked a long way to get here after all. Please go ahead and make yourselves comfy in the rooms I mentioned. Sol, you take a room for yourself. Tristan and I will share another. And Castoria, you can use the other room I set aside for Mash. Huh, I knew it was nice not selling for just 2 rooms. Oh, I also put up some magecraft barriers in the rooms, so we don't have to worry about being overheard. Continuing this conversation upstairs. Gotcha. But really, I can have a whole room to myself. For free. Hooray, I've always wanted my own room. I can't wait to get all comfy. Thank you, Da Vinci. Gosh, you proper human history. Fairies are all so generous. This is great. And now she's gone too. I know I didn't get to touch on this before, but she's pretty different from the Castoria we know, we know, isn't she?
Yes, she is, from what I've seen so far. We should consider her an entirely separate person from King Arthur, Artoria Pendragon, the king of proper human history.
Yep, which is one more thing I'd like to discuss up in our room if you don't mind taking this up there. It's better if we discuss proper human history stuff just among ourselves. You really can't be too careful here. Fair? Alright, let's begin by sharing what we've learned starting with this version of Britain. You probably got a sense of this yourself on your way to Salisbury, but this Lostbelt is very different from all the others we've seen so far. It doesn't look at all like the alternate path human history could have taken, especially since humans aren't the dominant species here. So far as I can tell, this world consists almost entirely of fairies. In Russia, a huge cold snap made it impossible for the human species to survive as they were, so they were forced to adapt and evolve. In Scandinavia, the Twilight of the Gods, aka Ragnarok, happened during the Age of Gods, and both gods and people alike were in sharp decline afterward. China was ruled by a single Zenren, or true human, became the sole nation-state in the entire world. And he was converging in on itself through endless cycles of reincarnation, only for the whole world instead of all of individual people. And in Greece, humankind was completely dominated by gods who never died out. While all of them were dead ends, they were still all human worlds. No matter how different they may have been from our timeline, they still had human societies that suited their environments in the year 2019. But that's not the case here. This is very much not a human world. For one thing, there is no world outside of Britain. It's not like the other Lostbelts where we just couldn't see the outside world thanks to the storm walls. There's just nothing in this world at all besides Britain. No other continents and definitely no other nations. So long as we're here, the whole planet consists of nothing but the Isle of Britain and the sea. And that means no relation to human history. Damn, what happened? Yep, given what we know, that's the only way to describe it. Over the last few days, I've been asking various fairies about what things are like between Britain and other countries, but the very idea of other countries was alien to them. So that tells me there must be some strange circumstance that caused this place to become Faerie Britain. Figuring out what that was will be the key to beating, unraveling this Lostbelt. Hold on, if there aren't any other European countries here, does that mean that every fairy in this land comes solely from the Isle of Britain? And that's a great question, Tristan. If there are no other lands in this world, it follows that no other fairy legends from those places would be imported here. Still, but luckily, there's still a thing called human history convergence. What that means is, as long as their fairy once existed on Earth, their existence will remain even if their form and history are different. So even in this Faerie Britain, we have fairies from various European legends showing up in different forms. Basically, the ecosystems are similar, even if the environments aren't. Since this is still the same planet Earth, there are inevitably going to be similar life forms, civilizations, and large-scale events. Similar life forms, huh? Yep, Faerie Britain may be nothing like Britain we know. But despite that, the two Britons have a surprising number of things in common. Things like city names, fairy names, even the name of this world's queen. Remember that huge castle to the north you saw on the way here? It belongs to High Queen Morgan, ruler of Faerie Britain. And it probably won't surprise you to learn that its name is Camelot. That's right, here in the same castle will symbolize the British peace and proper human history. That was home to King Arthur and to the Knights of the Round Table, belongs to Morgan. The strongest, most despised witch in British history, and the one indirectly responsible for King Arthur's death and Britain's downfall. Yep, we know this, though. Man, Morgan the Witch, huh? Yep, as far as I've been able to find out, Morgan's ruled Faerie Britain for almost 2,000 years. There are 6 different fairy clans here: Wind, Earth, Fang, Wing, Mirror, and one other. They waged war with each other constantly for thousands of years, until Morgan used evil magecraft to defeat them, subjugated half the clans through force, and united all of Britain. Afterwards, she gave the humans of this world a limited degree of freedom, made them build a foundation for civilization, and developed an imitation society over the course of at least the last 2,000 years. Morgan, so even this Lostbelt she's trying to. But no, I suppose I shouldn't say that. I'm sure this Morgan is a different person from the ones we knew. So what exactly is her reign like? Since she calls herself her castle Camelot, does that mean it's just fair and just in the way the King Arthur would be proud of? No, it's pretty horrible. She has strict limits on the number of humans that can be born each year, and she rules the fairies with an iron fist. Every fairy that lives in an urban area is inscribed with Morgan's curse, command spells as part of their civic duty. And every year, fairies inscribed with these command spells are forced to donate some of their vitality, magical energy essentially. They call it existence tax. And any fairies who can't pay it, essentially who can't provide magical energy to satisfy Morgan, are killed right then and there. Apparently when she first took the throne, Morgan told the fairies, "I offer neither absolution nor salvation. I demand only you obey without question or hesitation. Show me your fealty in word and action, I shall keep Britain safe." Any fairies who can't handle this state of affairs and become unable to work are either taken into Camelot and dealt with there, or they escape the cities and run away to the lands no one else knows about. So that's why those fairies were there, huh? They did mention existence tax. Poor Doga. He was trying to be a bud. He just got beheaded. Such an oppressive regime is bound to spark opposition. But even so, Morgan has maintained her iron grip on Britain for 2,000 years. Which just goes to show how powerful she must be. She takes half the soul of every fairy in Britain each year, and there's still no fairies willing or able to stand up to her. That said, there are some positive sides to Morgan's reign. Remember those black things we fought near the shore? Fairies call them Moors, and they're one of the calamities that's been plaguing Faerie Britain since its inception. Occasionally, fairies that lose their purpose or lose their spark end up turning into these Moors creatures. Moors are essentially the fairies' natural predators. Just touching one is enough to infect a fairy, ultimately transforming them into a Moor stew, It's kind of like a disease that only affects fairies. And the Moors aren't the only calamity Britain has to regularly contend with. There are lots of others that pop up on a regular basis. The Morgans, the High Queen's army, is constantly fending them off. Morgan may be a cold and ruthless ruler, but she's also the sword that keeps Britain safe. The fairies may fear her and hate her, but they also depend on her. And that's the current state of the Faerie Britain. Yep, Morgan is definitely the king. Yep, that seems to be a very safe assumption, which means she'd also be the one who used Rango Miniad. That spell was so powerful it reached Olympus from here. No one else could have cast it. Though, of course, that unfortunately also means Beryl Gut is involved with Morgan somehow. So I'd say that makes our chances of peaceful negotiation with her basically nil. I see, then we have our own reasons for defeating her. Yep, though we might have a hard time getting into Camelot, since apparently no one can enter it without her permission. That said, even Morgan's reign isn't perfect. In fact, there's new hope cooking around Britain right now. As luck would have it, we showed up here just at the exact right time, just as things are about to change. What's this new hope? A child of prophecy. Specifically, a child whose existence was prophesied by the head of the now extinct Mirror Clan right before they disappeared. From what I heard, it went something like this. 16 years from now, a savior shall appear. Guided by the staff of selection, the true king will take the throne. When the 6 bells ring out, the false queen will fall. Alongside Fae and humans, the savior will bring an end to this false history. So what do you think? Sounds vaguely familiar, right? It's got credibility out the wazoo too, since the Mirror Clan's prophecies have never once been wrong. The High Queen's been trying to prevent the inevitable by rounding up every fairy who turned 16 this year. But the fact that this child of prophecy hunt is still going on proves that she still hasn't caught them. Suffice to say, between the Moors and the children of prophecy alone, the wrecks are starting to show in the High Queen's reign. So if we play our cards right, we might just be able to negotiate with Morgan after all. That said, finding Mash definitely comes first. For the time being, you should rest up and recover your strength. Then tomorrow we can start gathering information, quietly and casually of course, so as not to arouse suspicion. Plan it sounds like. Lostbelt. High Queen Morgan. Castoria, Oberon. We're actually getting some introspection of our own. Mash, wherever you are, please be safe. Interesting that we are getting some introspection from ourselves there. Okay, I think we could use some rest too. Servants might not be able to not need sleep, but it's still tiring to be constantly watching out for threats, right? I mean, you never took your fingers off your bowstrings even once the entire time. Guess that's why you were a knight of the round table, huh? Just you noticing that suggests I need to rest as well. But not just yet. But please, don't refrain from resting on my account, Da Vinci. You may be a servant, but you're also being living here, in the here and now just like Soul. So go on, get some sleep. Don't worry, it's my duty to protect you as well as him. Gotcha. I guess I should have expected that kind of consideration from Christian, the side of Tadness, and the most handsome knight of the round table. Okay, then I think I'll take you up on that. Honestly, I was pretty beat. Then, by all means, but first I have just one request of you. I don't want to take too much of your time, but before you fall asleep, I was hoping you could tell me about the sixth singularity. Specifically, I would like to hear about the version of me who was summoned there, and what I was doing in the holy city of Camelot. Ooh. Interesting thing to want to know, Tristan. Very interesting. Another quartz, 2 bells, 2 prisms, and 2 hellfires. Is there a fragment? There is not a fragment, so that's going to be a long third section here, which means I'm going to call this stream of Fate Grand Order here. Been going on for about 3 hours now, and we are right in the start of the 6th Lostbelt. We will be continuing this tomorrow. It will be it will definitely be a shorter stream tomorrow. Honestly, we might only get section 3 done, but I have a meeting I need to be attending at a specific time, so I will update the start time for the stream accordingly. I might start later. I might start at the same time as today. I might start earlier. I've not yet decided just yet. But for now, I've been Soulrack Dragon. I hope you've enjoyed this stream. If you have, leave me some feedback in whichever way you so see fit. If you want to check out more about me, be sure to check out my channel here on Twitch or YouTube. Same name, same game. There's plenty of content to enjoy. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to drop a like and sub. I will try and succeed in getting out each individual part of Lostbelt 6 as its own section to make it more digestible from a story perspective. Once again, thank you all so much for coming out. I hope you enjoyed. Have a fantastic evening, everybody.